their well-being, their academic achievement, and future success. There's House Bill 318, some of you may be familiar with. It's one of the strongest state laws in the country addressing multi-tiered behavioral supports in the interest of reducing disciplinary referrals, especially pre-kindergarten through grade 3. And in your district, your pre-kindergarten through grade 3 had gone through the training, but not only had they gone through the training, but the whole entire district went through the training. So kudos to the teams for taking that on even before it was required by state law. Our Miami Valley Regional Center team started working with your folks in about 2004 around PBIS and had started implementing it. We really stepped up the work and instituting practices around 2014, and you now are probably one of the few districts in our region that has a district level team. So good for you. You've already stepped up to that level of introducing this at a district level so that there's consistency from when a student enters kindergarten through high school, that expectations are the same across all grade levels. So transitioning a child from one building to the next, you see consistency in expectations so that students have a very clear idea of what behaviors look like. And the one thing I like about PBIS that some of you may not know, it's proactive. It is not reactive. It's not a list of rules that I can't do. These are the things, these are how we expect children, or you expect children in Trotwood-Madison City Schools to behave. This is the expectation that we set for how you behave in the classroom, what expectations are for general areas like the restroom, the playground, the cafeteria, any other place in the building. So it sets that stage. In terms of literacy supports, several years ago, Dr. Kim St. Martin came to the district and conducted a literacy audit. She is from Michigan's Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. She is the associate director. And she was, we asked her to come in as SSTs to conduct a literacy audit. She conducted that literacy audit. That audit was reviewed by the district, and some of the implementation began. What was really great is the Early Learning Center took on that review, and under Mr. Warner's charge, he implemented everything that was in that Early Learning Center plan and that literacy plan. And they wrote their own as the building. It was implemented with fidelity, and they saw some great results. And then the pandemic hit. And then we had to step back a little bit from that practice. And it was very challenging for a while, but we managed to make it through, and now we're back to normal, and they're back instituting those systemic practices. The beauty, again, of instituting systemic practices ensures that if there's an interruption or a change in leadership, you will see consistency across that implementation. And right now, every building has a literacy plan. And we'll be looking at those again as a district and implementation, and we'll be providing technical assistance and support. Around systems improvement, Dr. Kim St. Martin was brought back again from Dr. Cosby and Mr. Warner. And it's very exciting, that work is very exciting to think about because it now takes, it steps up a level. So we have a district improvement team. And that district improvement team is charged with looking at systems level work. So they're designing policy, practice, and strategies that will be implemented district-wide. And within that service from Dr. St. Martin, she is working with a team called the District Implementation Team. So they'll be creating the district infrastructure around multi-tiered systems of support, which is a system that includes literacy and PBIS. Marrying those two together to ensure every student in your district has equal access to high-quality core instruction, and then that they have those wraparound services for expectations for behavior, social-emotional learning, and mental health and wellness. So that team is working this year to put some of those systems in place. They're currently, and I'm sure Mr. Warner has told you about the curriculum adoption process that they're working on for K-5 literacy, and Dr. St. Martin is helping us to lead that charge. And our SST is sponsoring that financially for the district.
When you say sponsoring it financially for the district, if we're coming up with a new curriculum, SST will be paying for that?
No, we're sponsoring Dr. St. Martin.
Okay. One clarification.
Our pockets aren't that deep, thank you,
Okay.
but no. We've engaged her in the work, and she's also working with Northridge and Springfield. So we've got 3 districts that she's supporting in our region.
And I think one of the things as a board member for myself is that cost, because if we're adopting a new curriculum, when do we last pay for the last one? And then what is that cost for this one? And all adoptions, of course, have to come to the board for approval. So a brief overview to show us what that looks like and what we're adopting, whether it's hard textbooks or online.
I didn't know if the board wanted to speak to it. Because all adoptions will come through you, and we are right now in the process of doing that. So we laid out those qualifications in that process, and then we do the adoption process, and that's what comes.
And then the other thing, the district implementation team. So is that new from what you had before? I don't remember it.
Dr. St. Martin made a presentation to the board about the district implementation team and gave an overview of this work.
Years ago?
No, it was, do you remember her name?
It was in September, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So we have that team in place?
Yes. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Good question. You're welcome.
You mentioned every building has a literacy program throughout the district?
Every building has a literacy plan, a local
Okay.
literacy plan that has been modified off of the district literacy plan. So they've kind of written that and they've contextualized it for their building level. Because what you would write in a literacy plan for an elementary building would look different than what you would write for a high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then there's some measures that they will put in place to see, to account for the implementation of that plan as they move through it. No, this is around family and community engagement. It's really exciting. Ms. Jordan Isaacs and I, 2 years ago, along with Dr. Cosby, gave us the okay to go ahead and get started on the family engagement component. You know, there's legislation now that says that you must have a family engagement plan and how to engage families. And so the state has charged the SSTs with finding districts that would be interested in this family engagement project through the Ohio State University's Family Engagement Center. And it's affiliated with a national network of partnership schools, which is out of Johns Hopkins. And we have 3 cohorts in the state, and Trotwood is one of the first cohorts. But it's been amazing the work that your middle and high school have done, because what is shown is they have been highlighted, keynoted, they have been put out in front of everybody else because of the work you've done over the past couple of years. So kudos to you all. And so with that, the district has, under Dr. Cosby's and Mr. Warner's guidance, has said we're going to adopt this district-wide. So every building will now be working on this very same family engagement plan through this national network of partnership schools. They participate in some training and learning how to engage families. And they're writing in action steps that go in their building plans. So it's very exciting to see how that's going to roll out. Under special education, we work with Miss Mallory. She also supports PBIS with us. And we in 2019, we did a district audit of the special education program. And there were some recommendations that came out of that. And some of those recommendations were developing an internal monitoring system. And then we were conducting trainings for writing compliant ETR and IEPs. And not that there was a problem, but there was some turnover and some new folks. So we thought having a consistent process, going back to our systems work, that was an important component to add to the systems plan. So that's taking place now with our support. And And that's all I really have to share with you this evening. It is an honor to work with this district, I have to say that. I've been here since 2007, and I've seen lots of change. I'm very excited about what I've seen come to grow. Just recently, with the change in new leadership, you have an exceptional team in your curriculum team. You have an excellent superintendent, and central office staff are amazing. They're very collaborative and cooperative. There was an audit that was done in 2018. You probably remember that. It was a district review. And when they first came on board, the very first thing Mr. Warner and Dr. Cosby looked at was that review. They took that review, and they also looked at the district strategic plan that you all worked on down at Miami University. And they said, okay, these are the things we're going to target, the recommendations from that review and the district strategic plan. They married that together. And it's the first time that I've been in this district that that's happened. So I'm very excited about the work and the progress the district is making. I see only good things happening. You are blessed to have these people, and I'm blessed to work with them. So one of the things I wanted to share with you, and there's probably extra copies if anyone in the audience would like one. This is the Ohio Leadership Development Framework. It's called OLAC. It is the foundation of where the Ohio improvement process came from. It's a national model that's been held up. You know, when you live in your state and people talk about the things that you do, it doesn't kind of get the notoriety, but when other people across the nation are watching what you're doing and replicating it, it's pretty awesome. This Leadership Advisory Council talks about what boards can do to support this Ohio improvement process. So I share this with you for your reading enjoyment. And if you have any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to talk to you about that after you read it. But it also outlines the 6 areas for building leadership teams, teacher-based teams, and also the district leadership team. But it's a wonderful document. There's lots of resources for the district to use, and they have used those in their trainings.
Thank you.
Next. There is our website, SST website, and you are welcome to subscribe and get any of our updates. And we have some quick links that you can, if you ever have any questions about policy procedures and things that are happening at the department, we carry all that. And that's my contact information if you wanted to reach out to me. So thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.
I would like to say, one thing that Ms. Appolito is wonderful. She shows up to our meetings. We get the director, we get really great support. And we happen to do a lot of things that I do think we're going to see come to fruition. And we're going to be so pleased that this work is happening in the district right now. So it's really good to work with you, very good person to work with. Thank you so much.
And thank you for your presentation. It was good information, and we appreciate you working with the district. It appears that our mission statement reader is here, and I would like, with the permission of the board, to move backwards to have Mr. Sincere Buford, a first grader at the Early Learning Center, read our mission statement. We are always excited to show off our students. All right. You want to come on up? He's like, uh-oh. Okay. We need a little coaching? All right, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, and you can be comfortable. Would you like to read it with him? All right, please. Go right ahead. Okay, we're excited. Let's give him a hand even before he gets started. Oh man, that is awesome. Yes, he did. We are so proud of you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And thank you, Buford family. Thank you so much.
Big sis.
Yes, and big sis. All right, let's just give him another hand. So adorable. And that's a first grader reading like that. So that is just amazing. Those are some huge words. I stumble over those words, okay? Okay, so we are now going to move down to the treasurer's report. Item A, approval of minutes of February 10th, 2022 and February 17th, 2022.
So I have to create and do the first one with the one who's doing physical notes for the February 10th and February 17th meetings.
Okay.
And additional information. The second item is approval of the amounts and rates for tax year 2022. So what I've done, and this is a more explanation, every year, the Board of Education has to approve the tax rates that Montgomery County sends to us. And so in front of you, the green and yellow pieces of paper, I'm going to go over this with you very quickly. We'll go through green piece of paper. This is for the taxes that we receive from the citizens of Trotwood. So the first one is general fund, and you can see that for the tax year 2022-2023, we have amount projected, which is all the information that the county has sent us. I wanted to let everybody know the millage, and so the mills for that is 48.94 mills. If you go across, I've also included FY22, which is this year. The millage is the same. The year before, in FY21, the millage is the same, and FY20, the millage is the same. Along with that, our citizens of Trotwood are also paid for our permanent improvement fund, which is 2.51 mils. Our classroom facilities fund, which is 0.5 mils. That half mil allows us to upkeep our building. And then the bond retirement fund is $35 million that we initially borrowed to build our 5 schools. And so you can see those millage rates have been the same since FY 2020. We've had to, in the past, increase that, but luckily, knock on wood, we have not had to do that in several years. So I wanted to let you guys know, and you can see that the millage, the amount projected and the amount budgeted are pretty consistent. On the yellow piece of paper, I wanted to show you guys the collection rate versus the projection rate. So if you go all the way to the right, for FY20, they projected, for instance, general fund at $8.4 million, but we collected $8.7 million, which was about 103% total. And you can see every year is about the same, which was interesting to me. That 6.2 mil is millage that you don't have to vote for. So that's automatic, 6.2, and if that vote is not required. Everything else, the citizens of Trotwood, thank you very much, voted for us to get this money. And so every year, Montgomery County wants our Board of Education to approve these amounts and rates. And so I just wanted just an exercise of just information so that you guys can understand a little bit more of the connection of the particular tax revenue that we get from the citizens.
Any questions? Are there?
Information that I just spoke about is in this first page that has with the green, and then everything else after that, we will fill in the blanks after we approve it in 2 weeks, and then I'll send that information to the county
Okay, we do that every year.
every year.
Yeah. Any questions for Ms. Allen? Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Allen. Okay. Next, we have the superintendent's report.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm the one that came out with us today. That was really good. I'd like to start with approval of the donation to the ELC in Westwood Village. The Early Learning Center has received a check for $780.87. That's from Trotwood-Madison. And Westwood Village has received a donation check from the Kiwanis Club of Dayton in the amount of $200. They're asking for approval for next, when we take our votes. Then I have out-of-state travel. We'll go down to 4C, approval of out-of-state travel request for the high school seniors. This is a trip to Kentucky State University. It will be on March 30th, 2022. And on that trip, there is academic content. They will be sitting alone and ensembles, demonstrating accurate information, and it seems as if they're going to show their high degree of musicality. They will learn some things as they're going to also take a campus tour, and they'll be involved in a workshop for the students. And that's the information for tonight. Okay. We also have approval for out-of-state travel requests for JOTC. We are requesting that the high school JOTC team have the opportunity to travel to Stowestown, Pennsylvania, and that's for September 11th, 2022, to see the Flight 93 National Memorial. On their trip, they will have a course of study in citizen and American history and a government lesson, service community, and non-12th grade level content. They will afford our students the opportunity to tour the memorial crash and discuss selfless service and service to our nation. We'll be asking for that approval for next week.
On that one, we just need to make sure it's 2022 on the form. I think it says 2021 on the form.
Yeah, dated trip,
It does.
September 11th. Mhm.
Thank you. Next, I have approval of venue of transportation payments for school year 21-22. As you can see, on the form that you have, we have quite a few students that we pay to parents that we will pay to transport their students to don't offer transportation.
Ms. Allen, could you, I think this would be in your realm. Ed Choice, as we can see, has drastically increased the number of students that are choosing other schools. Can we put a cost on that? And if we can, lay out the number of students by grade level? In terms of transportation, the cost, not transportation. Right, but it's an average of about 7,500 a student, right? Right, so that figure against the numbers that are going out. You know, because we were tracking our open enrollment, and we were tracking what that dollar figure bringing in. So I'd like to do the same with these numbers. And I, yeah.
Now I don't get any information.
Right, it's just an average, so it's a RUM, it's the estimate of 7,500 a student by the number of students we have here. And if we can look, you know, this is one of those things, is being intentional about looking to see what are our grade levels doing. So I think Dr. Cosby to look to see, because that adjusts our teaching staff for next year potentially. So we, the board, need to be aware of, we need to do a little analysis with the numbers here. So that's all I'm saying.
Well, these students are for this school year, but I understand if they're going to continue to their grade level.
Right.
Then they will.
Right. Right. Just analysis overall on what does this mean to the district? What's the impact?
With that said, there's about 93 students on this list, and the average is $7,500. We're talking close to $700,000, $697,500. Well, that's pretty much, I counted what was on here. Yeah, I mean, so, you know, again, that is money that's not coming into the district because they had choice and kids are going other places. And even if, you know, we were transporting them, I know it's $500 a student, but we would have $700,000 coming in. Okay, if they were here, correct. So, you know, we have to look at our student enrollment and attrition because, let's face it, you know, that is going to dictate how, how we educate our students along the lines of our budget, our bottom lines, what we can do, and our staffing. Yeah. I think that's about 93 students, but Ms. Allen, you can go from there, okay? And that's just an average. It's a lot of money.
I have a question. So are you saying there's about 93 students that are enrolled in the Ed Choice and they are not in the district and we are responsible for the transportation?
Yes. Is that McKinney-Vento? Oh, what is that? Okay, that's homeless. That is, it's just transportation, the state, yeah.
Right.
That lives and
In our-
resides in Trotwood.
Right.
Yes, no matter where they go.
And the number is 163.
Oh, it's not 93?
Yes, but they don't,
Really?
the buses service, this is payment in lieu of, and that's the $500.
163, did you say, Vanessa?
With families, not principal.
The bigger question is why aren't they in the district?
And that's one of those things, I mean, we can sort of
Yeah,
get through
people.
and try to figure out, because we want to bring our students back, and of course, we talked about that kind of thing, you know, what we want to do to try to encourage them. If you look at the schools that a lot of these students are going to, a lot of them are religious-based schools, and some parents make that choice for that reason. I don't know
True.
that they would go for the
Parochial schools.
But, we are targeting, trying to get our students who are just leaving because, you
Yeah.
know, they decided to.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
go, because they can. And I'm sorry, Ms. Freeman brought it to my attention, it's 163 students, which is $1,222,500 that is out of this district.
And you know, the thing is, it's not just Trotwood. So it's not, it is Ed Choice drove this higher. And in the finance committee, you all will probably, well, you won't get to see what's going out though. But you will get to see the bottom line adjusted by that, as you're looking through the numbers. But other districts are facing the same thing. So, you know, I see Miami Valley School on here, you know, it's a private school that you pay quite a bit to go for. What Ed Choice said was, you can go to any school you want. I don't know what their criteria and how they limit who they accept though. But so it's not just the Trotwood problem, it's a problem for all school districts at this time.
So is there a way that you can find out how many are actually in a private school versus just not choosing to attend Trotwood?
Yeah.
We know what schools they want.
Okay.
It actually lists those schools.
So projection, it could be even higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, F is approval of the middle school fire suppression system control panel upgrade. Mr. Howard is asking that we approve the task work to upgrade the fire alarm control panel at the middle school. Basically what's happened is that in the next 2 years, we're going to be required to make these upgrades to be able to do voice, commands on it, like move to you outside, that kind of thing. And the control panel currently at the middle school is not up to par for that, so that's all we have to fix that one. So that when we're required to do it, it'll be ready.
So all of the others are already compliant and this is the only one?
Yes. Yes, that's
And
the only one.
does,
It's in process now with that.
So all of the other panels have been capability upgrade.
Oh,
The middle school panel is antiquated at this point. They are outside, they're no longer making part for that. So we need to replace that panel so we can proceed with the upgrade.
and then,
The others will have to be
The
upgraded.
others will have to be upgraded, but it's not a replacement of those panels.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
This entire panel has to be taken out and replaced, so it can receive the upgrade.
Does this qualify under ESSER by chance?
I would love for it, but
I don't think
You
so.
don't think so?
Because this is
Yeah.
equipment.
It's
and-
not HVAC?
No, no. And so this is what, 60, what was it, 61,000?
Yeah,
Which is 65.
65.
Six-
yeah.
The quote for the scope is 61.
Okay. Yeah. And do you know what the upgrades are going to look like? Is it going to be about half of that price when we get ready to do?
We're going to start seeking quotes for those over the next couple of weeks. I don't quite know yet. It's not going to be nearly as much as this because this is an upgrade to the entire panel.
Okay.
To the entire control panel. The other control panels can be upgraded and that aspect of it can be added. What's happening right here is we have to replace the entire panel. So it is no longer, they don't make it.
Now, did we go through the consortium for the bidding process?
Did not.
What did we go through?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, what process did we go through?
Well, if you read the note, I'm requesting to propose the bidding process because of the limited need to quotes.
So you did secure quotes?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah, always. And again, these types of panels, there are only 5 or 6 people in the country that make these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start looking at these different, these different entities, the pricing is generally the same, but based upon, we need to get this done by the summer, so we can have an active, working fire safety system. I want to get that put through because if you read the notes of the superintendent, we're still dealing with supply chain issues, we're hoping, we're crossing our fingers that we can get it in by the summer. So we can get it done.
Thank you.
G is approval of personnel agenda. We have item A1, recommendation for the approval of the following certified adjustments in training credit. A2 is recommendation for the approval of the following certified letters unit training for the 21-22 school year. A3 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified staff to be used on an as-needed basis for the 21-22 school year. A4, recommendation for the approval of the following certified athletic supplementals for the 21-22 school year. Then for our classified staff, B1, recommendation for the approval of the following classified resignations for the 21-22 school year. B2, recommendation for the approval of the following classified letters unit training for the 21-22 school year. B3, recommendation for the approval of the following classified supplementals for the 21-22 school year. B4, recommendation for the approval of the following classified student workers for the 21-22 school year. B5, recommendation for the approval of the following classified substitutes to be used on an as-needed basis for the 21-22 school year. B6, recommendation for the approval of the following. I want to talk to you all about B6 and,
Executive session.
executive.
Sure, okay. Okay. And then you have, D7, D8. Oh, is it not showing up on yours? Okay, yeah, because we have some more to cover.
Maybe 8, maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
Recommendation for the approval of the following classified position changes for the 21-22 school year. The 8, recommendation for the approval of the following classified hires for the 21-22 school year. The 9 is recommendation for the approval of the following classified postseason supplementals. And that is personnel.
Okay. One thing I have a few questions on, some of your items. I am looking at the out-of-state travel request. I know we have the JROTC, and then we also have the seniors. The JROTC, I'm curious how this process goes and how those organizations are, if they raise their own dollars for these trips. Because, for instance, this JROTC, which is very much on time, because I believe the marching band, for instance, I'm looking at the marching band, I'm sorry.
We went back one, right?
Yeah, we went back one, the marching band, I'm sorry. November 18th is when it was received, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the trip is March 30th through April 2nd. Right, I'm looking. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the one you took off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not that one then, okay? I'll look at the singers, for instance. I'm just looking at our process for when these come in and how they're brought before the board in a timely fashion. And it looks like maybe the teacher signature came in August of 2021. And we're getting it now. It doesn't have a stamp or anything on it. But is that something that we have a process for, or that we're working on a process?
Yes, that's something that we're working on a process for. Initially, when Mr. Warner took over this position, he was not aware that, as you'll see, there's a letter from him on the
Yes.
front of this.
Mhm.
He was not aware that that letter was necessary. So when it initially came in and we first sent it over, it didn't have the letter, it was sent back to his department. We will get them in as soon as possible from here on out. It was actually signed February 22nd by him, so it would have meant the 30-day prior to the scheduled field trip. But we will do a much better job, of getting closer to when it's actually initially sent in.
Yeah.
The only reason why I didn't make it in was because he had not known that he had to develop that letter.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, when these are submitted, I'm just trying to understand why they sit for months before they even come to the board. I mean, even if there isn't a letter, you have the request, and then you find out a week later or 2 weeks or even a month later that you need the letter, and then they would come the next month, which would be September or January, and not, so 5 or 6 months later, because we can miss things that way, and we have, and that's why I share that. So what we need to ensure is that there is some sort of protocol for all of these, and that way if something's missed, we're not running and chasing our tails. And another thing is, how are these trips funded?
Most of the trips do fundraisers.
Okay,
The parents and the students fundraise to support their trip.
okay, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
I have a question. So the district doesn't provide any assistance with the money for the trip?
Typically, those are band parents or, choir parents or whomever for their particular trips.
I know, that means that they're doing fundraising.
Yes,
for it.
they're doing fundraising, and most districts do that. They raise funds, and also parents pay.
Do we have money allotted for that, for the students to participate?
The principals have a principal fund for their buildings, correct? Okay. Yeah, but the buildings have dollars.
We do have like a line that says that we want to provide opportunities and access in our, as a fund right now. The question is, I think every time we talk about it, it's sort of like we want the students to understand about fundraising, the parents to understand that, so they fundraise as much as possible. And then I guess at some point they can come back and request, from the board, some additional funds if necessary. And, you can see what that looks like right now. It's not sustainable. We know this money is going to go away for sure in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But,
And I guess the other thing would be the equitable and fairness to those groups that are going to New York and other places
Mhm.
that have done fundraising to take care of their trip. And then if the district is paying, we have to be fair and equitable, I think, in how we support all of the groups,
Mhm.
because we have more than one.
Mhm.
And so maybe it's a collaboration. It's like, okay, how did you all get fundraising to take care of this trip?
Mhm.
And then there's also the thing of, and I did mention this to our student representative when we met.
Yes.
It's like, put on your best face, your best suit, and go get sponsors.
Mhm.
Because you're introducing yourself to our business partners, and you're saying, hey, help us, we're going wherever, we're doing whatever,
Mhm.
we need your support.
Yeah,
They either say yes or no, or they write a check.
yeah.
And so it's twofold purpose. It's communication, it's soft skills for our students, and it's also forming and really locking in on a true partnership with them.
Mhm.
So then when they're having an event here, it's like that partner, we're inviting you to come and watch us to do. It's a true collaboration of a partnership, is what I envision.
Yeah.
But that has to be modeled also, because you can say put on your best suit, but if a student has not been shown or taught how
Right.
to actually do that. I don't know if we have classes like that, I don't know if High School for Success, I mean, I don't know if they teach that. I'm not for sure, but if a student is totally unaware of how to do that, if Miss Bruno, if you allow me to use you, if she has the choir and they fundraise and they get, I'm just gonna say $5,000 versus the band who fundraise and they only get $2,000, do they not go because they didn't raise as much? Where do the district lie in that? That's what I'm asking.
Well, this is the first time we've had, I mean, ESSER dollars are new since COVID. So organizations have been going on field trips for years and years and years. And what they've all done is they've raised and they've fundraised to get there. They didn't rely on the district because like the superintendent said, these are not sustainable funds.
That I understand.
Yeah, I mean, this is not like the first year that they're taking this tour. They've taken tours, I've been here for 16 years, and they've always done it.
No, I understand that. I'm saying in the event that they do not raise the money, then what do we do? I mean, that's what I'm asking. If they do not raise the money that they set out for, how does the district assist?
And
That's what I'm
I know
asking.
groups have not met the mark, so they had to change the trip. Maybe they couldn't go for 5 days. Maybe they could only go for 3 days or 4 days or what have you. You have to modify what it is you want to do to support the monies that you have. Now, the district, like Dr. Cosby said, organizations can come before the board. However, we need to make sure it's fair and equitable. You know, our student rep, for instance, was sharing that the cheerleaders, they have something. The senior class, they have something. How do we make sure that whatever it is fair and equitable across the board? It's not fair if an organization worked really hard, they earned their money, and they planned their trip around their budget. And again, another organization didn't.
And I think that's part of the learning process, is maybe setting realistic goals for
Yes.
students to be able to attend. And if they don't, or they can make it, that's great. If they really try hard and have every reason to believe that they have tried hard, I would anticipate that 19 they to come. Because I'm sure that there are times, like particularly right now, maybe harder to sell popcorn to people or, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
That maybe traditionally, I know I can always have that. You know,
Do you remember the rings when our kids went to state and they won? You, Miss Allen, because you were the head of that fundraising, how much money did they need for the rings? $74,000 or? Okay, and it was a lot of money. But what was the initiative? What they did, they went out, like Ms. Jeter Freeman said, they asked for support. There were board members who gave money to support. The superintendent bought a couple rings, the principals, the building. We came together as a unit to support that initiative. But we didn't take it out of district or federal dollars. It came strictly out of really the ask. So I just was curious about that because I just want to make sure that there's understanding of, you know, there's protocols in place for when paperwork is submitted. And then, and it's not just sitting on somebody's desk until the 11th hour. In addition to that, if there are any needs or wants that, you know, the ask is up front or it's looked at proactively and not in the 11th hour, and that we are aware of what the
And I
needs
guess
are.
we have to put some of the onus and responsibility on the person that's responsible for it.
Oh, the coach or whoever.
Yeah, whoever is planning the trip. to be that person to,
Be realistic and,
well, I would say it's realistic, but to be realistic and creative and, you know, telling the students, so how are we gonna get this money?
Mhm.
It's like, because if you start planning that in November, you have from November to the time you're leaving, it's like, it's a rally. It's a rally to get the money
Mhm.
and for the trip. So, and it is even if the students aren't going to get sponsors, it's that person is going to get sponsors. It's like, what are your relationships that you can ask for a check?
Mhm.
You know,
And some students have it. Some students can work diligently to get,
Right.
to raise the money, whereas other students are not as, as successful. So I would hate for a student who is not as successful not to be able to attend because their quote-unquote family members or hustle hand is not as great as the other one. That's why is there funds for that? And if the teachers are responsible for getting that information first thing or the first part of the school year, then we can work towards that. But I would hate to see students not to be able to attend simply because their fundraising was not as popular as the next school.
and I agree with you, and that's why I said, then I would leave it to whoever is over that program to
Help and support.
help and to go and ask Donut Palace or someone. Donut Palace has done really good in supporting our students.
Oh, yeah.
Allow the businesses we do have here, allow them an opportunity to help support us. And so I personally have a problem if we not even ask those businesses that are here for support.
Churches.
To say, to give them that opportunity.
Mhm.
At least do that. And if they all say no, and we can't get any support, then yes.
We can revisit it.
Right, but I'm
You know,
gonna say that again,
I
that's a huge opportunity there.
I shared with you guys, I don't know who frequents the Chick-fil-A on Miller Lane, but I had the opportunity to meet the owner. The owner walks up to me and says, why is Trotwood never asking us to support them? All the other districts ask us to support them, and we give thousands of dollars to school districts, to students for their trips and for their initiative, but Trotwood has never come to us. So you can't tell me that there aren't organizations, people, businesses, and they're not even in Trotwood, that want to help us. And we need to, at least, like Ms. Freeman said, solicit that. And it would probably come from the coach or the teacher or the
I don't want to
organizer.
give the impression that I know that Mr. Bean did or did
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Get out there and really push it. I don't know, so that's.
Well, that would be a conversation.
I wanted to have that conversation.
We can discuss this, we can go on and on, because there's some in Trotwood that refuse to support, and I'll give you those names a little later. But, yeah.
Okay, so, thank you for answering that question, I appreciate it. And then you'll let us know what those protocols are so that we don't have these late submissions.
Yes.
And we have information, okay? Next, we have discussion items. How many seniors are on track for graduation?
Okay, I have that information for you. Right now, we have 170 total seniors. We have 97 seniors who are on track to graduate. We have 73 who are off track. 14 of the off track are off track due to not having the credits. 11 are off track due to testing, and 48 are off track due to both credits and testing. I did find out what they have added along with what they shared with the board in January that they were doing, and they continue to do those things to help move these students along. And they've also now doing an SAT retake opportunity, March 24th, to earn remediation free score. They have some CCP, college credit plus opportunities in the spring. They have parent contact meetings that are scheduled with the seniors and administration. They have senior class meetings, March 8th, to discuss the graduation requirements and to review the graduation process with their students. They have 12th grade specific academic labs for off-track students, focusing on credit recovery and alternative pathways. applications and weekly meetings with military recruiters to work toward alternative pathways. They're retesting seniors in the spring for possible August graduation opportunity, if not sooner. So they really are on top of it this year. They are looking at what's going on in each individual student.
I'm sorry, did you say 97 we're on track?
Yes.
Okay. So it's like an ongoing process, working with these students, and we're working with parents too?
Yes. They're bringing in the parents as well.
Yeah, I know you said there was a parent meeting.
Yes.
CCP, oh, College Credit Plus, okay, they're getting that. Any questions around the seniors on track for graduation?
The College Credit Plus, when would that wouldn't be
We're taking us some master classes, says spring B, which I'm guessing is they're offering like a B session with them.
Yeah, there's a College Credit Plus session that will start, in a couple of weeks, it will end in May, each session for students who are taking, either the level 1 course, legal level 1 or the math course, which will give them, college credit plus, points that will work with their graduation.
still in time for May's
That
graduation?
will work, those courses will work with the college graduation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next discussion item is the CDC mask guidance. Superintendent?
Yes, so the CDC guidance now is that Montgomery County falls into a category that allows us to have masks optional. I know in all the other districts except for one who had reported that they are all going, masking is a choice. And so I told them that we were talking about it at our board meeting tonight. I did mention it in one of my town hall meetings, and that is a random sample. It was just the people who were on it. I did have a good crowd that night. I think I had over 60 participants. It was about half of those people on there. Some wanted the option, and then the others said, no, we should remain masked. I did pull up some information about the percentage of people 0 to 19, and that's the way they do the age group. So this is a little bit skewed because we know the one from 0 to 5 is actually able to take the vaccination. But at this point, that age group 0 to 19 is 26.62% of those who the capital. They're not all students.
Thank you.
19 is beyond 3. Let's see. Mr. Howard just shared with me, and I think we share it with everybody, Mr. Howard.
Just for your information.
Oh, okay.
And we fall in the medium category, correct?
Correct.
So what he just shared with us is that what people can do to protect themselves in medium, which really are, some impact on the healthcare system. This is what it looks like. More people with severe disease get vaccinated, get boosted, get tested if you're sick, get that potential increased risk, talk to your healthcare provider about wearing a mask. So, we know that 64% 12 plus are those who are fully vaccinated. And that's 12 up to, this is talking about students who, people who are 0 to 19. So anyway, I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention because it is You know, up to now, and I think I've said this before in the board meeting, no one's ever mentioned it. We really haven't had much discussion about it. You know, people hadn't been talking about it. But recently, because of the change in the CDC guidance, I've been getting a few calls about it. Mr. Howard has been getting some calls about it. And so I thought that I should bring it to the board so that we could have a discussion and make a decision. We have where are we? This is March, April, May. We have 3 more months of school.
Mhm.
And so I think people want to know where we stand as a board.
I have a question. How many of our staff people are vaccinated? What's the percentage?
I know that people, they don't have to tell us because we're just guessing.
Okay.
Do you have a guess? It's private.
So when we did have our vaccine clinics, we did have a large number of staff members that did participate. They don't have to still.
So we don't know how many staff people are vaccinated. Anybody want to weigh in?
Do we have a number of students? Do you know the number of students? Or
Mr. Davis, please.
I guess I would motion that we figure out about that and get on that kind of quick, and by next meeting, possibly kind of figure it out.
Yeah, and they don't have to tell us that they're vaccinated, so we wouldn't be able to get that unless they just.
Well, if they
willingly-
volunteer, I mean, I don't want to make it a kind of like a big deal, but I'm thinking like if they want to tell us, I would like to know. I'm vaccinated, I don't mind telling them. Nice. I mean,
Yeah.
but some people aren't gonna be
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
in all fairness, I do understand
Yeah.
that. Some people are gonna take that,
Yeah.
more private sector kind of stuff.
We just wouldn't get an accurate number.
Right.
And then there
Yes,
may
sir.
be people who
Yes,
just say
ma'am.
that they are. We can't even ask, but even if we did ask, we probably wouldn't get an accurate.
And with the COVID-19 vaccine, it is not mandatory for school age to get.
Mhm.
Once, or if it ever becomes mandatory, then we will be able to get
Okay.
those actual numbers, the actual number of students that are vaccinated. Because of the TDAP, the rubellas, and all those ones that are mandated to schools, we get that information. But with COVID-19, because it was not mandated yet.
We have no idea.
so are you asking the question, should we remain with mask or not?
Yes, that's the question. Should we remain masked for the rest of the school year, or should we go mask optional? Which would mean, people could wear their mask if they want to, but people also will not. I will tell you, when I think about it, I can sort of tell you both sides. I will have some staff members who will be very happy. They'll be like, oh, we're out of this mask, and now, my kids can see my face, and you're trying to teach phonics, that's helpful. But I also anticipate that we will have some staff members who will say, I know when I come into the class with all my students unmasked, and I don't know if someone has it. People have concerns about going home to family and, taking home this illness. Because again, we don't know who is vaccinated or not. So those are the kind of things that we were sort of hearing when this got started, and we were trying to decide what to do. So we had some people, why are we doing this? We don't need a mask, it doesn't make a difference. Then we got vaccinated, we're vaccinated, we don't need to have a mask. But there is a group of people who feel like it's a risk that they're afraid to take. So that's what makes it a dilemma, because initially I think everybody said, well, if you say choice, what difference does it make? People can wear it if they want to or not. But I think the issue becomes, if you have an underlying condition or something like that, then for you, it might matter. So if you're a teacher or if you're a parent of a student, I know some of the lawsuits out there are parents who are suing because their child now, has to go to school with other kids who are unmasked and they have underlying conditions. So I don't want to give the impression that I'm really swaying one way or another. As I said, I can see both sides of it. But I just wanted you to know what I
minus the phone calls and things that are gonna start happening, pretty much either way, any decision that's made.
Any other comments, board?
Well, I think you summed it up very nicely.
Exactly.
It's going to be an issue. If we say we're going to continue to wear masks, there's that segment of the population that doesn't want to be in them, and they're going to kick and holler because they feel like officially it has been relaxed and they shouldn't have to comply. And then if we say you don't have to wear it, then there's those who feel like they're being put at risk and exposed. And if you say it's optional, then you still got that faction that's going to feel like that they're being put at risk. And I don't know, short of making specific accommodations for them, such as having a partition or keeping them at a 6 foot minimum distance and mask. I don't know what else we could do, just speaking right now. And so it's going to be a dilemma. I don't know. I don't think we've had, compared to some other districts, we have not had the real vocal oppositional kinds of behaviors and other things that have gone on in other districts and at board meetings. I don't know if that would start. I would say it probably won't, but you have to be sensitive to all those options and possibilities too.
Right, and one of the things that has been brought to my attention, as Mr. Howard and I talked about this, is that up until now, we have always followed the CDC guidance. And that is what has triggered those calls that we have been getting. Because the CDC guidance now saying we don't have to, this option. And so the people who have been contacting both of us, we both people in as well, so we would be doing something a little different to work.
Ms. Freeman, do you have any comments?
I think all the comments have been made, the concerns on both sides, and I see it both ways. So I don't have you need to stay masked, or I don't have
Definitive.
make it optional at this point.
Well, for me, I work in healthcare, and I can tell you this for sure. The numbers are low as far as the COVID exposures, or where people are not reporting. When I walk into hospitals, even our own inpatient unit, all skilled facilities, they've actually ramped up the COVID protocols. Everywhere I go, I have to be tested, even if I was just tested 10 minutes ago. They require the vaccination card, and if you don't, they want to see the exemption. And if you have the vaccination, they still want you to take a COVID test if you don't have one within 7 days. They all have COVID units, so COVID has not gone away. It has not. You go into hospitals, they are wearing masks, all right? You go into your doctor's offices, they are wearing masks. So one thing that was unique when we initially started out was this board was concerned with our staff and student safety.
Safety.
I mean, that was it. It was about safety. We didn't care what anybody else was doing. And you remember this, Dr. Cosby. We were one of the first districts to say, we're going virtual. We were the first district that said, we don't care, we want to keep our people safe. We don't care if they're at home, working from home. We want to keep our students safe. Our demographics is, we are a minority district. Minorities were most at risk based on, historical legacies and their disposition along the lines of, health issues and challenges. So again, the masks were something that, we adopted right away. We didn't even question. And we felt that the masks were the things that have reduced the threat of COVID. And when I say the threat of COVID, just that, the threat of COVID, okay? We can't 100% emphatically say that you're not going to get COVID if you're wearing a mask. However, seems to be a sense of security or safety for most folks if they have it. So, again, I think that, it's not, if we're sticking with what we initially started with, safety first, no matter what, and you made a good point, I didn't even think about it, the folks that are underlying are going home to family members that have pre-existing conditions, or even some of the students that may have asthma, those sort of things. One thing that we know for sure, we have had these masks and we've worn these masks and people have been really consistent with these masks, and we haven't had the big town halls like other communities have coming in. People were almost praising us for being extra careful and extra cautious. So, I just, my opinion, this is just Denise Moore, working in healthcare, walking in COVID units every day and seeing people still dying of COVID, that I think that we should remain with the mask at this time. And also, we're orange, right? Like, this is not in color. This is not in color, but I've seen this. And you know how they had the colors, yellow, red, green, orange and red? We're orange. Orange isn't red, but it's right before red. It's still here. It didn't go away. And people are still dying of it. So when we make that decision, as a district superintendent, I want us to keep in mind what we initially started with, which is the safety protocols. Safety and security. Also, it's an emotional thing. Do you remember you wanted to give your staff, we gave your staff time off because they were emotionally drained. They had COVID fatigue. There's such a thing that's called COVID fatigue. You're walking, you're wondering if you're going to get it. Your counterpart is coughing over here, somebody sniffling over here, now you can't sneeze. I mean, it was very traumatic for people. And COVID did run through this district. It ran through central office, okay? I mean, it ran through buildings. So, again, there was a lot of COVID fatigue, and you literally came to this board and said, my staff needs a break. They need a break. They need some downtime because of the emotional and mental and spiritual toll during this pandemic.
Madam President?
I'm sorry, 1 second. So, given that, what happens, and again, we're not going to make people happy, everybody happy. We didn't make everybody happy when we made some of the decisions we made in the past. But it wasn't about individuals, it was about our school community. And I think we should stay with that focus of keeping people safe and secure. I look at, there have been a lot of people who have left particular professions because they didn't feel safe. Yeah, and they felt like they were being put at risk. And the last thing that I would want to do personally, not just as board chair, but as just a member of this district, is put anybody at risk. I'm sorry, Mr. Davis?
I was just wanting to say, kind of conclude at the back end of when you were done talking about it. I just wanted to add on that, Madam Superintendent, I think no matter what happens in the decisions that you have to make under your leadership and with all of the district's assistants, I think it's not going to be too popular. It's like a double-edged sword, as Board Officer Andrews was saying. It's one of those deals. I really was relating to him and Mr. Howard when it comes to the data there. But just to put a bow on that, I think everybody's doing a great job. I'm not a brain surgeon, but I think when you perform and drop these ideas in someone else's idea, they grow a little better. And I kind of think if we keep the parents involved, communicate with them our concerns about this, you have some great decisions with, some higher power and judgment on your decisions, and along with Madam President. And I just think that it's one of those big deals right now. If you look on national news or local news, we seem to not have these issues that the other, our brother and sister districts are having. So I think the evidence speaks for itself. The Surgeon General speaks for himself. So I think you're going to lead us in the greatest direction ever, as per usual.
And the superintendent is asking the board to weigh in.
Yes, ma'am.
Because, we adopted this vast mandate.
I mean, it was just a
Yeah,
back
she's
end
asking
of
us
it.
to weigh in.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
that's going to be important for us. Because when we're out in the community, people are going to want to know. You're going to be approached. Why did you guys do this? Or why did you guys do this? And
Mhm.
my child has this, and my, mother lives with us. And, these are decisions that impact our whole community. So that's pretty much what you're asking for. You're asking for the board to weigh in because, again, the decisions that we make, we all own. As a
You
collective
spoke
body.
for me. I'm in medical too. I didn't want to double down. I figured you
Well, I'm just-
covered it for
yeah,
me.
This
So
is just Denise Moore, though. I don't want to speak on behalf of the board because
Oh,
it's a
oh.
very personal issue.
I can relate to what you're saying. I'm for whatever the board decides on this, because the safety, my kids and I would like my mother to live a little longer, so I can relate to a lot of stuff that's going on. And who's to say who's going to bring what, or who wears the mask and who doesn't? But I'm really looking at the census on some of this, and I think we might not be too popular at the end of this, if I can be frank, no matter what we decide, as he said. I'm sorry, I don't want to take up all the minutes there.
Yeah, and I just think about that we've missed so much school. We've missed so much face-to-face because so many people were out. And the building principals could not sustain the buildings. Because if you don't have staff in the building because they're out sick, you can't have in-person learning. So again, not trying to go backwards, but trying to move forward, trying to keep kids in the classroom, trying to be as safe as possible. Mr. Howard, how much money did we spend on COVID precautions in the district? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, and we did that with safety in mind. We didn't care how much it cost. It could have been millions of dollars. We wanted to keep our people safe. So I just, I feel a certain kind of way if we're just throwing all that out the window and saying, okay, this is this, and, let's just try it. I don't believe in just trying it, especially when, the fact of the matter is COVID is still here.
Does anybody feel strongly the other way? That might be the easier way to say it, Do you feel strongly the other way, or do you think you can support each other's decision?
I think I feel better with the mask. Personal, yeah. And for, my family.
Same here. They eliminated the restrictions today at the base, and I'm still wearing mine, and I'm gonna continue to wear it. And I think overall, it's probably in the best interest of everybody. And there'll be people who want exceptions, and just have to kind of go with it.
Mr. Davis, did you have?
What about the social distancing aspect of that? Are we going to still participate in that, or?
Mask on 3 feet.
Looks like school. It looks like it did last year, or whatever. It looks like school. Everyone has a mask.
Okay.
Everything else is running pretty much like it used to be.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Cherry?
I work in medical also. I'm tested twice a week. I wear the mask, so I'm for it.
Okay, and Mr. Davis?
I'm for it. You almost get a scare every day when somebody sneezes. You kind of got to just, hey, ma, so I'm for it. I mean, I'm making light of it, but I'm dead serious for it. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. All right, I appreciate your input. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Superintendent. Okay, next up, we have Treasurer's comments.
I just wanted to say, I had an opportunity last Saturday, myself, had the opportunity to listen to Mr. Communication on a open meeting with the links. You were the guest speaker. He was outstanding. I didn't get a chance to get the book out with the book, but he talked about the book, and he was talking to a group of men and women. We mentored 6th through, I think, 4th through 6th grade. So I was just really, really proud that he thought was one, and that he really represented our district just phenomenal.
Thank you. Superintendent comments?
Well, first thing I'd like to say is that we are excited next week is when we'll go to the Southwest Regional OSBA meeting to honor
Yeah, it's Tuesday, right?
Yeah. Put that on the calendar.
It's Tuesday.
Okay, and so, yeah, we have sent in our number, and if they have extra spots, they're looking into it as well. Okay, all right, so just keep you posted on where we are with that. I did want to just say this now, because I know it's going to be in a lot more detail about this from our curriculum department, but at this point, we are looking at working with summer school through Capricorn this year, so they will be providing our summer school services at about a third of the time of what was spent last year. So I just want to get that on your radar. We will be bringing that up with you coming up. We have some good news to share. Tomorrow, if you get a chance at 9:15, they're going to do the African American History Program. It is going to have a link associated with it, so you can watch it virtually. That's a program that Ms. Houston came up and helped us out, so I'm excited for that.
When is that? I'm sorry.
It's tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Friday, and at 9:15. And it is discussed, I think, no longer than 11, it's 9:45. 9:45, I'm sorry, not that.
Oh, it starts at 9:45?
9:45, and it goes to about 11:15.
Around there.
Around there, because that's the start of the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And then I also had in my notes that Mr. Bennett did come to reach our students. We have some really good pictures and things to share from that experience. And I didn't get a chance to get there. I was very busy in the building, but I did go to our girls' basketball game, and he was there. So I was able to talk to him and have an opportunity to get a little picture with him and everything. So that was very nice. And he said he was more than happy to come back again. So a good thing. There was an excellent Black History Month parade at Madison Park. Pictures to share with you all for that. We had praise dancers, little girls dressed, and they going through the halls, and then the other students were dressed as particular individuals, and the parents went all out. There was three Michelle Obamas. One was in like a gown, like an inauguration gown. There was another person who was dressed up like maybe she was going to church on a Sunday. And one young girl whose mother was there, she had this red lipstick on, glasses, her hair all fancy, and curls. And the mother said, well, I've never seen a red lipstick like that. She said, oh, Mama, that's what she used to wear. So I don't know if that was her college days or what she was exhibiting, but she was cute as she could be. And they really portrayed a lot of people who've done so much for African American history that we don't hear about all the time. That was a really good thing that happened this month. And then, I know we've already mentioned it, but we had the Business Advisory Committee dinner, and that went really well. We got some good information on how to talk about careers, even with the youngest students, and those are things that we already sort of looking into, but it's good to hear from other districts as well. That's all I got.
Thank you. Okay, next. board comments. Mr. Davis, please.
Well, we are in the beginning of the month, and I would just like to say to everybody that I am very grateful to be working with everybody, all the way from the high school to the middle school to the ELC. Operations staff, my board officers, superintendent, my treasurer, and the list goes on. I believe in giving people flowers right now, so that's pretty much just a thank you. It takes a team. I took this position with the hopes of unity in it, and it's kind of sewn into the job title, and I just think that it's a great thing to be able to work with so many cool people. That was it.
Thank you. Mrs. Cherry?
I actually had a comment about the presentation. I don't know if this is the proper time to make mention. I had a couple questions that she got away from me, but maybe I can ask the superintendent at a later time about the presentation. So no, I don't have any.
Thank you. Mr. Andrews?
Well, first I'd like to thank Ms. Mashad. I sent her an email late, and she was able to work with me. I was very pleasantly surprised when I came out. I was rushing to get here to see if you had time to look at it, and it was already done, so thank you very much. Also, I'd like to, as always, give a shout out to our athletic teams. Our boys and girls played last Friday, and the outcomes weren't as we would like to have seen them, but they gave good accounting for themselves, very young teams, and to have played last Friday is fairly significant. That means they went pretty far into the tournament, and so I think overall they had a successful year. And I'd like to thank Mr. Smith looking out for me and helped make all that possible. And I think that was pretty much everything. I think so.
Okay, thank you. Vice President Jeter Freeman?
I don't think I have anything else tonight. We had our district leadership team meeting yesterday,
Okay.
and we looked at data, and it was a good meeting with honest comments and conversations, and so from that we'll have action steps. I like to make sure we have action steps from all of that good dialogue and comments. So were those slides shared, or can we share those slides with the rest of the board?
Yes.
I think that was, yes. But, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. My only comments are, the Business Advisory Dinner was very, very well attended, and I think it's like the first one since COVID.
Yeah,
They hadn't done it, and what was it, Brookville, that talked about their counselors in all the buildings and exposing kids to career tech, even the little ones, which was really insightful. So we gained a lot out of that. Yeah. In addition to that, Superintendent, you were going to share with us a little bit about your experience. And I know it's my turn, but I would love to hear a little bit about your conference, because this was a superintendent's conference.
I was a great conference. I went to Nashville. I actually went to 2 conferences, and I took my book where I wrote everything in, so Mark was giving me the revisit. I did ask me because I write up on my updates as well. So my first conference was called the Fun Conference, and that's because it was about leadership circles. It was scheduled to be held in Atlanta, but when he found out everybody's going to be in Nashville, we moved it to the day before AASA, so I went down for that. And the leadership circles are superintendents who work together to help each other with a specific situation that you're dealing with.
as you all know, from this position where you are, it's hard to be in this spot, because like, who can you ask that advice? And so that's sort of, what that is for. So we did some training on it. We actually went through like 3 different activities on how to handle these leadership circles. We also did think tanks, and we talked about the book about regret from Mr. King, Mr. Daniel King, and so we discussed that. So that was a really good one-day conference. Then AASA started, and that was the superintendent's conference. And at that conference, you go to different sessions. It's a traditional conference. So I did mark a couple that I wanted to talk about. One, it's sort of interesting, and I'm not really sure about everything that was going on with me, because as you all know, I've had a lot happen in my life. But the title was Surviving the Storm, Leading Through Post-Traumatic Growth. And I was like, what is post-traumatic growth? Well, what it is people are learning to more deeply appreciate life, to open up to new possibilities, to dig deeper into your relationships, talk about your inner strength, and then spiritual renewal. And so they had an activity that we did, and they asked questions, and I took hard to answer the questions because we were all going through it, and I wasn't the only one. It was very difficult to talk about it and think about it. But it was very good, and again, there are some activities that can be used with your staff and with students to help them understand that even though we went through this, there are positive things that can come from it. So I'll be sharing more of this one with my staff, ways, and then with everyone, ways that we can think about what is the positive to it. Another one that I went to is something that I am going to be dealing with my staff about in the near future is assessment. And this particular one was called Assessment Journeys and Conquering Unfinished Learning. And so I think I've made it, somewhat clear that I'm not a fan of failing our students if we can help them. And we get, in my opinion, sometimes confused about the difference between learning and grading. And one of the things that they said that I thought was an excellent analogy, again, I'm a little biased, but I will share it because it was a sports analogy. And the person doing the presentation said if an athlete gets on your team, let's say basketball, and they are not shooting threes, they are missing everything, the first day. And so then they practice, halfway through the season, they're hitting all their threes. Would you bench them because you divided the 0 ones that they made when they first got here? They ain't making none, so they got 0. Now they're making, I don't know, let's say, 200 points, You wouldn't average those points and say, no, you still got to sit down. Your score's not high enough. I know what Mr. Andrews would do. He said, you getting every one of them now? That kid's going to play. And so the analogy being, look at what they've learned. Where are they now? What are we looking at? What they know or what they didn't know? It's a long road. I know I'm going to have to, work hard. But I did select that one because I wanted to get some different opinions. And I've actually found some articles. I'll give credit as due, thanks to Mr. Warner. Because I do want to see both sides. I want us to have a deep conversation about how we're going to move forward with assessment. And because I really struggle with giving our students 0s and sort of taking away, don't hold for a pass. So that was another one that I went to. There were a lot of good things. There was a presenter who sang songs related to suicide, and he was very personal for him because he had attempted at one time, and so he makes wonderful music. He's going to be the lead presenter next year at this presentation. It happens to be him. So it was really a learning event for me. So I appreciate you guys for allowing us to do that type of thing.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I just wanted to also, like the superintendent board, we have that same opportunity. As a matter of fact, Ms. Allen, I would like to go to the NSBA, and I want to open that up to the board. National School Board Association has their national conference Saturday, April 2nd through Monday, April 4th. It's in San Diego, 7,000 school board members. And I'm going to tell you, and we haven't had a meeting in a very, very long time, but the nice thing is that same collaboration that you are talking about, that you get into those pockets and get feedback from your counterparts. That's how the National School Board Association meetings are. We've been able to meet board members from all over the country and with similar situations. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. They've been very successful. They have some great best practices. They share that with us. And over the last, several years for me, I have taken advantage of professional development. We ask our staff to do professional development and expand their knowledge base. We as a board have that same opportunity. So, I'm sorry? What, you're gonna what? Oh, you were gonna mention it? Okay, well, it's a good thing I mentioned it. Put my name down, okay. But anyway, but the bottom line, if you're interested in going, just let Ms. Allen know, okay? And she'll give you the protocols and the process procedures of how to do that. It's a real good time for the board as well, because it gives us an opportunity to just really learn together and grow together. So I wanted to share that. There are several conferences that there's several educational conferences that are out there, but this one is really a good one. So I wanted to share that. And we probably need to get that into you ASAP, because
I really do need to know who's interested in going, just as an FYI, share this with you, there is an online access that they know what to do online. So I just want to FYI for that. But we need, as soon as possible,
Yeah.
like tomorrow,
Yeah.
to know who's going and when to make any decisions. Then the other thing I want to keep in mind, on Monday, everybody got an invitation from the city of Trotwood. 5:45 is the reception, and 5:45, I know that Dr. Thomas and President Moore, myself, will be there.
Mhm.
I wanted to remind everybody, everyone else that wanted to attend, they had invited.
yes. And
They did send
yes.
an email.
They sent an email, and since it was my comments and you said that, what about the other meeting that's coming up with the Y? Do you want to share? Did we get our numbers in for the YMCA? Okay.
The YMCA.
The Women of Influence. Janice is a woman of influence from the YMCA. This year, our mayor, as well as Gina, what is Gina's last name? McFarland. She is from Five River. She was here for the ribbon cutting of our health center. She's the CEO and president. She's also going to be one of the women that's going to be honored. So we wanted to extend that invitation to the board. We work very close with our city. We're going to work even closer with our city, and we want to just make sure that we can support each other however we can. So anybody, what day is that? Is that Tuesday? Oh, there's so many. Okay. Yeah, I need a calendar. But then there's that coming up. Also, what else is coming up is, Superintendent, you were going to talk about this, and I don't know if it slipped your mind. We're having a retreat. Yes. Okay? Please do the honors.
And it's interesting, I haven't talked about so much.
I know that you didn't talk about it.
The date that I think we settled on, that everybody said we could do is Monday, March 21st.
Yes.
And we will be doing a retreat that will deal with safety and security, and you all are invited.
Mhm.
It is an open meeting. I will have a lot of information to share with you. I did do town halls with all of my buildings.
Mhm.
And gathered information there. Also, the discipline data that we looked at in DLT is also something that can be shared, at that time, and some ideas that come up. So I think that's going to be a great retreat. It's 5:30 to 7:30. So
Yeah.
I look forward to it, and I'm really excited about what can come out of it.
Yeah. And these can be ongoing talks, because these are going to be pretty intense. We're going to have an agenda that's going to be relatively tight, because we want to make sure people can really talk and share. There was a lot of questions and materials that Ms. Jeter Freeman had sent out for the board to review prior to that retreat. Also, Ms. Jeter Freeman made the suggestion that the board should review our policies regarding safety and security, so that when we come into the meeting, we understand what we are advocating. And so we've got homework on both sides of the house. We want to come prepared for the meeting. We don't want to start at ground zero, because there's a lot to discuss. And I know safety and security has been a priority for this district, not just with COVID, but with students, with staff, with situations that happen within the district. So, well, I'm excited about the retreat. All right, thank you. My comments. I just want to say thank you guys for staying with us, sticking and staying. Thank you for being here tonight. You could have been anywhere, but you're with us. Ms. Ahmad, thank you for pulling together the agendas. We appreciate that. And again, you know, I can't believe you just mentioned graduation. I mean, this is March, April, May. Well, Ms. Cherry, you have a senior, so I know you know. Okay, but it is upon us, and it is going fast and furious. So we're just going to do the best that we can. We're going to continue to work hard for you and for our students, and make the kind of decisions that are the right decisions for the right reasons. Given that, I now need a motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigations of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per BOE Policy 0166 and ORC 121.22 G1, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property at competitive bidding, or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in accordance with Section 505.10 of the revised code per ORC 121.22 G2. Official action may be taken. May I have a motion?
I move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. We will now enter into executive session. It's 7:24 p.m. and action may be taken. Thank you.